The idea behind the American colonization project.
Au XIXe siècle, les troupes américaines arrivèrent sur les côtes de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, attaqua l'état de Fouta Djallon et captura le fils de son chef, transformé de prince en esclave, jusqu'à l'intervention du sultan marocain Moulay Abderrahman, et demanda aux Américains de le libérer. Sans nationalistes de l'islam ont changé le cours de l'histoire. En 1762, Abdulrahman bin Ibrahim Souri est né à Tubu, aujourd'hui en Guinée. Il appartenait aux tribus Peul. Il était le fils d'Ibrahim ibn Souri, qui était le chef de l'État islamique de Fouta Djallon en Afrique de l'Ouest. Dès son plus jeune âge, Ibrahim a été envoyé dans la ville de Tombouctou, située au Mali, en phare de la connaissance et de la connaissance dans le monde musulman, et s'y est installé sur le plan religieux avant de retourner dans son pays et superviser un bataillon de 2000 combattants.
My father was SORI, king of Fouta Djallon. At 26, my father gave me command of 2,000 men and sent me to protect our way to the sea. We defeated our enemies, and I hurried back with a few men to report to my father. We were ambushed. We heard the guns. We saw the smoke. And my men dropped like rain. Fearing my father's revenge, they dragged me and my men to the sea. They bound me, pulled off my shoes, made me go barefoot 100 miles, and led my horse before me. They sold me to slave traders on an English ship for 2 flasks of powder, some muskets, 8 twists of tobacco, and 2 bottles of rum.
ABDUL made a harrowing Atlantic crossing, unaware of what lay before him.
All hands to the halyards!
The Africa was en route to the Americas to feed the New World's hunger for slave labor.
This morning buried a woman slave, number 47. Know not what she died of, for she had not been properly alive since she first came on board. Captain's log, John Newton, slave trader.
Ce prince s'est réveillé une nuit de 1788 pour prier à l'aube, découvrant que les Britanniques avaient brûlé sa ville, et il est devenu un esclave entre ses mains. Plus tard, les Américains les ont emmenés en Ohio pour y travailler comme esclaves pour un cultivateur de coton américain, qui s'appelle Thomas Foster. Pendant 40 ans.
8 months after his capture, the Prince of Fouta Djallon stood on the Natchez docks with other goods for sale or trade.
You, come on! Get going here! Get going! Come on now, come on!
Saturdays were a big business day for the region. and local farmers headed to the docks to purchase the manpower needed to clear the wilderness. They were an unsophisticated bunch.
Come look! Step up here, come.
Most were illiterate, and they rarely paid in cash. Usually, they'd mortgage their purchases against future tobacco crops.
Look at the backs on this thing. Give me a bid. Any more bids? Any higher?
One of the farmers who had come to see what was brought to Natchez was Thomas Foster. Thomas Foster was a hard-nosed businessman, a hard worker physically, religious-minded in his way, and very ambitious.
Bid. Give me a bid.
Come on, open up. Open up.
I kind of think of him as a Calvinist. He was not a flamboyant fellow. He was out here trying to put together a place to live for his family and build his personal wealth. He had a very, I think, a predestinarian kind of view of where he should be.
930 is as high as I can go. Take it or leave it.
930.
What you're essentially doing is you are removing the identity of an individual.
$930.
$930 sold to fine Africans.
And you are giving him a very different identity, one that you as a slaveholder choose. And this communicates very effectively that the person is now a slave. The person is now chattel. The person is now someone who is owned.
For a little hard cash and 2 promissory notes, Foster purchased Abdul-Rahman and Samba, one of his soldiers. Foster had no idea who Abdul-Rahman was, nor did he care. His only concern was that the long-haired African with no apparent disease or injury would work his land and justify his investment.
After the purchase was completed, Abdul-Rahman headed to the Foster farm. Foster was a native of South Carolina who had immigrated to the Natchez district just a few years earlier.
Further indignities awaited him. In Fouta Djallon, Abdul-Rahman's long plaited hair had been a symbol of distinction. The plaits were immediately cut, though Abdul-Rahman struggled so hard that he had to be tied to a tree.
I don't want to hurt you, but I will if I have to. Come on. Come on.
The first order of business for Thomas Foster was getting some new clothes and a haircut for his new African.
Moving ahead! Stop!
This meant, of course, cutting off the long hair that he wore, an ornament of great beauty in Fouta Djallon. And Abdul-Rahman told a friend, under normal circumstances in his own country, he would have parted with this hair only with his life.
Here he is, sheared of his hair, which was a sign of their nobility, and forced into menial labor.
Mississippi planters are but a plain, practical body of men. They would rather gaze upon an acre of cotton than upon a magnificent garden. Still, planters are not devoid of taste. It is just to their desire to make it yield interest rather than beauty.
Though not well educated, Thomas Foster was a shrewd businessman who capitalized on Abdul-Rahman's knowledge of cotton grown in Fouta Djallon.
Foster got into the cotton business early. The indigo was attacked by insects. In the case of the tobacco, the price supports were lowered, and Foster was wise in moving into cotton.
Abdul-Rahman's familiarity with the crop enabled Foster to plant on a large scale, producing almost 16,000 pounds of cotton in his first year. The Fosters quickly became one of the leading cotton families in the area. As the farm swelled to a sprawling plantation, Foster purchased more slaves, paying this time with hard cash, and counting on Abdul-Rahman's natural leadership to get the most from his investment.
Isabella, 25 years of age. Jacob, 10 years of age. Anaki, 5 years of age. And Blominique, 2 years of age.
Prince, this is Isabella. She doesn't know nothing about cotton. I want you to show her how we work the fields here in Mississippi.
Yes, sir. I show you how to work Foster's fields. First you take the stick. Make it hole. You take the seed, cover it up.
In Isabella, I see a woman, though bereft of most things, retain the ability to choose who she loved and who she wanted to be with. I can't minimize the force of her own personal will and dynamism and the force of their attraction for one another.
7 years had passed since ABDUL last saw his wife and child. He had given up hope of ever seeing them again.
He had to overcome that love, that separation, then open up his heart to another who also could have been taken from him. It was a tremendous risk for both of them. To love in that kind of situation was risky.
En 1794, ABDUL épousa une fille nommée Isabella, une femme qui travaillait dans une ferme et avait 5 fils et 4 filles.
Father in heaven, you ordained marriage for your children. We present to you Isabella and Prince, who are here this day to be married.
Marriage was not a legal right granted to slaves, but Foster believed that a ceremony would create a sense of stability on the plantation. For ABDUL, a Muslim, and Isabella, a Christian, the ritual was a testament of their love and commitment to each other.
They made the best they could of their circumstances. They found ways to figure out forms of solidarity, forms of resistance, forms of accepting what was going on, including obviously religious forms of acceptance, in order to live their lives.
If you have faith, you will think that all of this happened for a reason that you don't know. But ultimately, things will get better.
The world moved on. ABDUL rose to a position of authority on Foster's plantation, and Foster allowed him to earn money of his own by growing vegetables to sell at the market.
He was the person who the other Africans looked up to because he was a leader there, and he continued to be here and see that things got done. And he wasn't made overseer, he was the de facto overseer. After all, a significant number of the slaves were his own family.
Ultimately, there would be 5 sons and 4 daughters born to them. Each one of these children tied a heartstring between himself and the land of his enslavement.
Hey, sweetie.
I just know you're gonna sell all these today. Maybe we could buy a little something for the children with the money.
It's just another day at the market. But we'll see.
Mom, should we feed the chickens some more?
crossroads near Natchez Town was an open marketplace where it was acceptable for slaves and slaveholders to trade with each other.
Fresh poultry, good Sunday dinner.
Beyond the makeshift stalls, the two rarely intersected socially, except on Sunday, market day. On one particular Sunday in 1807, an extraordinary event would shift the course of Abdurrahman's life once again.
Fresh yet? Go to that man. See if he has one eye. If he does, I know him. One eye and black patch.
Les Américains connaissaient l'identité du vrai prince, grâce à un chirurgien irlandais assisté à une occasion du prince Abdulrahman lors de sa visite en Guinée. Il travaillait sur un navire anglais mais il était abandonné par le navire en état de santé grave. Et il se rendit en ville, où le père d'Abdulrahman l'a accueilli dans sa maison pendant 6 mois, jusqu'à ce qu'il recouvre la santé et qu'il mette à la main un navire, pour le ramener aux États-Unis.
He was the first white man to reach Timbo.
Boy, where do you come from? I come from Foster's place. You weren't born in this country? No. I come from Africa. From Timbo? Yes. That is my home. And is your name Abdul Rahman? Yes. That is my name. Do you know who I am? I know you very well. You are Dr. Cox. Dash down your potatoes and come to my house. I cannot leave my potatoes.
I had not seen Dr. Cox since I was a young man in Timbo. He had many questions. He asked how I had come to this country, how I had come to Mississippi.
Le chirurgien a essayé de l'acheter à son propriétaire, mais ce dernier a refusé, car il est devenu l'un des plus riches du Mississippi grâce à l'habileté d'Abdul Rahman Ibrahim, dans les champs de coton.
Dr. Cox was a freethinker, a respectable physician who was described by prominent residents of Natchez as a man of some eccentricity.
Mr. Foster, is it?
Yes.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance. John Coates Cox.
What is it, Mr. Cox? Dr. Cox?
You have in your possession the one you call Prince. Many years ago, on the west coast of Africa, I was saved by an African prince, Abdul Rahman.
Wait, sir. You're saying my prince actually is an African prince?
That's exactly right, sir. And I never thought I'd be able to pay my debt until today. Sir, I am here to ask for the release of Abdul Rahman into my care.
I'm sorry, sir. Prince is not for sale.
I understand that the going rate is $550 or so.
Sir, you don't understand.
So you
Prince
cannot...
is not for sale. His wife is here. His children are here.
I beg you, sir.
I
will
cannot
offer
help you, Dr. Cox.
$1,000.
Prince is
sir.
not for sale at any price.
But, sir...
Good day to you, sir.
It did become the talk of the town, and I suppose in some sense that it made Foster feel like he was the man who controlled a prince.
I believe Thomas Foster rejected the offer because Abdul Rahman had simply made himself indispensable on the Foster farm. Despite the cheer of the family, the confidence Foster had in him, and the friendship of Dr. Cox, he paid a very, very hard price for his accommodations.
Foster prospered. His property expanded dramatically to 1,700 acres. 40 adult Africans now worked the plantation from sunup to sundown, making him richer with each season. Dr. Cox continued to seek Abdul Rahman's freedom, but Foster flatly refused. When Cox died in 1816, his son took up the cause, but Foster stood firm.
Pendant 40 ans. Le prince Abdulrahman a alors dit au propriétaire de la ferme qu'il était un émir et non un esclave et lui avait raconté l'histoire de son enlèvement. Mais ce dernier n'a pas fait attention à ses paroles et il a été méprisé et appelé le prince parmi les esclaves. En dépit de la vie difficile de l'esclavage, le prince accorda une grande attention aux problèmes des esclaves avec lesquels il travaillait et commença à leur apprendre à lire le Coran en arabe. Il est devenu un imam des musulmans de l'Ohio jusqu'à ce qu'il soit connu parmi les esclaves de l'ensemble des États-Unis.
For years after Cox's death, people talked about the unlikely meeting between the Irish doctor and the African prince. This notoriety opened doors to Abdulrahman that were closed to most black men.
Alam Ayohalahu Al Habib Al Kari Al Habib.
Show me what you just read.
Alam Ayohalahu Al Habib.
And where did you learn to read Arabic?
I learned as a boy in Timbo and Timbuktu.
At home, we spent much of our time devoted to studying the rites of prayer and to the Quran. We learned geography, astronomy, calculations, and the languages of the nations we traded with. It was the first of my country's writing that I had seen since I left home.
I know many languages.
I told Colonel Marshak that I wanted to write a letter home. And did he know how to send it?
Le médecin a insisté pour l'aider et a envoyé une lettre écrite par Abdulrahman Ibrahim bin Suri, décrivant sa souffrance dans la vie de l'esclavage en arabe, par l'intermédiaire d'un ami, au sénateur américain, gouverneur du Mississippi, Andrew Marshak. En 1826, Marshak envoya une copie de cette lettre à la capitale fédérale, à Washington, attirant l'attention du sénateur américain Thomas Reed, qui la renvoya à son tour au consulat des États-Unis au Maroc, car elle était écrite en arabe. Bien que Abdulrahman n'ait aucun lien avec le Maroc, le sultan marocain Moulay Abdurrahman, Abul Fadl, bin Hicham, Alaoui, 1789 à 1859, influencé par son histoire, a demandé au président américain John Quincy Adams de le relâcher. Le président américain a accepté la demande du sultan marocain, mais à condition qu'il retourne en Afrique et ne reste pas en Amérique. La joie du prince n'était pas complète avec la liberté, car le président américain avait ordonné sa libération et de celle de son épouse, mais pas de ses 9 enfants. Abdulrahman et son épouse ont tenté de collecter des fonds auprès des États-Unis pour libérer leurs enfants de l'esclavage. Ils ont eu recours à la presse, à des conférences et aux efforts de certains hommes politiques. Toutefois, sa tentative se heurterait à la décision des Américains, qui estimaient qu'il violait la condition de l'accord et l'a renvoyé seul au Libéria en Afrique en 1829 et ne lui a pas permis de voir son rêve.
And calm. As we set to go, I told my children of my care for them, and that I would buy them free at 10 prices.
I was told there was a look of silent agony in their eyes. I could not bear witness to this. Andrew Marshak.
Il est décédé peu après son arrivée en Afrique à l'âge de 67 ans. Son épouse est restée aux États-Unis et a terminé la collecte de l'argent, mais n'a réussi à libérer que 2 de ses fils et les a amenés en Afrique.